without further ado, let's get brawling!
Welcome back, friends. It's us still here at the Brawl Stars Championship, and it's F-Dot. But now, with an upgrade, I'm here with Trav.
Well, I'm glad you think that. As much as I love Ready Set, I like my ego that a little bit more.
Well said. Let's take a look at our regional leaderboard to show you how India has been going so far. Revenant Esports up on top, pretty secure. Marcos Gaming, though, a very strong team in their own right, kind of chomping at their feet. But here's the problem, though. Marcos has been one of the top teams in all of India. It was Marcos, Revenant, and maybe some other squads here or there. 4-button, worth noting. I don't see True Rippers anywhere. But Marcos, they just haven't been that team as of late. Revenant and Marcos are the two squads in India. But these days, Trav, it seems to be all Revenant.
Yeah, I mean, Revenant have just been on top of the world, and I believe they actually clinched that LCQ spot by just qualifying to the July monthly finals. So I think we can give them a big congratulations on that one. But at the end of the day, Marcos have been, you know, their biggest opposition. But as you say, not performing as of late.
Well, when it comes down to our Indian region, we only show you the good stuff, so we are jumping right into the grand finals. This is how they made it, though. Revenant coming through here on the bottom side, just 3-0ing all the clowns that stand up in front of them. And Marcos Gaming again miss the mark. And it's Southern Cross that's going to be showing up here, as they have had an arduous task to get here. Shafeen, Captain, and Pratik making up that Southern Cross squad. Whereas Revenant, we know those players. So let's focus a little bit on these guys. Pratik and Shafeen, though, we've seen them a little bit. The Southern Cross team, I think under a different squad name, if memory serves here, Trav. But at the end of the day, they are definitely looking up at Revenant Esports.
I think it's hard to argue any other way, but these guys, you know, they've been here time and time again. We've seen these names before. I believe we saw them in the Snapdragon Pro Series Masters as well, so they are some seasoned players. We've seen the names and we know they can put up a bit of a fight, but just as it was in SEA with Team Flash, this year has just all been Revenant, and it's hard to really root against them.
I mean, the players have been really stepping forward. I think that's one of the fun things watching one of these newer regions, because India is certainly being drawn on this scale in competitive Brawl Stars, certainly something new. But Sergeant, Trishant, and Response here kind of making up this Revenant squad. And honestly, getting a chance to talk to Sergeant and Trishant in Japan at Brawl Masters was a pleasure, because this squad knows that they have a lot to learn globally, at least with respect to how solidified the other regions are. But at the same time, they know that they're number one in India. They know that they have a lot to learn, but also a lot to just show the world. And watching these guys play has been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. You know, you say they know that they're not on that kind of international level just yet, but they did play very well at Masters, and I think that's something you've got to take into account, because these Revenant guys are improving month in, month out. They don't have the biggest competition here, so they want to get onto these worldwide stages, improve thanks to the scrims that they're going to get at those LAN events, and I think that's exactly what they need to do. Just qualify towards those, get the international level experience on the board, and they clearly use it against these guys in India, right? Because they've been dominating so much at this sub-region level, and obviously I think it's kind of fair to say that the community feels the same with that 73% prediction as well.
Well, we're jumping in here to Pinball Dreams on Brawl Ball. What we'll do is we'll play Dueling Beetles and then Pit Stop, and if we need to, we'll go to some Gem Grab and Knockout as well. Should be the same layout that we saw last time around up in Southeast Asia. And so with the bands across the board, it's a first pick Bonnie here for Pinball Dreams. Gotta say, no dislike there, but then RT picked up across the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be that ranged affair in mid, probably through this Pinball Dreams map. And to be honest, I like the Bonnie. It's got that aggressive tendencies, you know, jumping forward and going aggressive on that, but can play the range game as well, which I think is that balance that you need in Brawl Ball, especially when it gets further down the line to those overtimes. You can really use that to their advantage, make some passing plays. The RT, on the other hand, I feel like it's very good. I think at certain moments it struggles to keep up with the Brawl Ball speed. And I think El Primo's probably a good brawler to kind of make up for that in that. And obviously with Cordelia, Shelly, Nita all banned out, that was the route that they were going to go with the tanks.
Got to agree here. I think RT winds up being one of the more impressive defenders in Brawl Ball, but I agree. When you're trying to push that advantage, being offensive, RT might be a little bit slow and leave some to be desired, but Primo can jump on you. So I'm very curious as to the last pick here for SC, and that will really tell me how strong I think overall the draft winds up being. But Griff comes out, big DPS and some wall break as well, and they will team that up with the long range Bonnie. Last selection here, what do you want to see?
I mean, I think it's a tough one, but it's a pretty similar draft to what we saw in that SEA region when they played Brawl Ball as well. You know, Griff coming in, it's not the most common of picks at the moment, but good against Primo, and a lot of those tank counters banned out. Then maybe they'll just double down and go for another tank counter. Yeah, they are. They're going to go with they're going to go with that Otis. Ability to mute him out. Fat Splatter's good as well, blocking off a few of these avenues through on the map, and then we're going to see Tara. So yeah, it's pretty much, you know, almost the exact same brawler pool we saw in that SEA region. So clearly a pretty similar meta across both of these regions here as well. But overall, you know, I really don't mind this Southern Cross draft, to be honest. You know, I said that RT might struggle a bit with the pace, but that's nothing Primo won't make up for. And obviously, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Tara.
It's a bit all in though, is it? Like Captain Pratik kind of looking for this big group up and take them down. They don't really feel like there's a lot of secondary opportunities here, or am I wrong?
No, I do kind of agree with that as well, and I think it's going to be just Primo getting that one opportunity maybe throughout the game, because it's playing against Griff, it's playing against Notice. The only real supercharge he's going to get is with being hit so hard, and already going to walk into that gadget, be knocked back, and Response is going to take advantage of this open left-hand side now as well, and Trishan going to have a bit of an easy right-hand side here too until Captain pops some of these gadgets.
All it does take is one big play though, and Southern Cross can make that happen. Problem is, they're already on the defensive end. Response thinks better as Pratik respawns, and so back to the middle. Sergeant falls. I don't know if this is a big opportunity though. Pratik jumps forward. Looks like Southern Cross wants to make it one, but I just don't think the window is open wide enough. Captain here brings out the shades. Shafin gets the kill. This could be it. Response doesn't have the damage. Shafin scores.
I mean, that was nice from Shafin. You know, they just waited for their moment, and as you said, it didn't look like there was an opportunity, but they pried it open and made it one. A few more breaks coming in from Response as well with this piggy bank here. Got the supers widely available. They all pretty much show up at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to make use of it as well. Get two of them down. Just Response remaining, but that might be enough to hold them off and just until the respawns come through.
So that was the type of play that Southern Cross, that's their sort of like ideal situation. Obviously Griff wanted to fall down, but that's what they're looking for. That big moment. Southern Cross not out of it just yet. Still over a minute of Brawl to play. They did score early. It's going to be more about the defensive end. Sergeant jumps in, gets one, gets two. The ball's kicked out towards the left-hand side. Scoring opportunity is here. Trash points to Response, and Response points to the scoreboard. Tied at 1.
Well, starting things from square one again. I mean, 40 seconds on the clock. I think we're going to need to see something fairly soon from Southern Cross, because this Primo's not going to have the best of times in overtime, but it looks like it's actually Revenant making the move, and they've got that mute, they've got the jump in as well. Sergeant maybe overly aggressive there, gets absolutely obliterated by Shafin and Pratik when he does land, and Response is trying to make the most of it now, but does actually get jumped on as well. Surely going to go down to the burn damage, but his star power might keep him alive. Does just. Trishan's still got his mute and does use it on Shafin there, and it brings him down as well. Captain the only one remaining, but got this jump now as well. The range is all going to be on Revenant's side through this overtime.
You pointed it out, this tank, Pratik is going to have a bad spot here. Sergeant does have the super. I'm anticipating just a big old penalty shot right there, caught on the left-hand side. I think I would have missed even if it wasn't intercepted. Kills coming out from Southern Cross. The respawn's trapped. Do they have it?
I mean, they're going to pass it back to the left-hand side. Shafin goes for the right, finds the opening in between Trishan and Sergeant. They're going to take the first game here, but it definitely wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy road to do it. They had a few hiccups here and there, letting them score, but you know, they scored when it mattered, and I'm surprised that they didn't manage to win that overtime. A little bit of an overextension, I feel, with that super being shot towards the left-hand side. Slightly too ambitious, I feel.
I really liked how we got some some good pass action up there. Love to see it. Pratik pushing forward now. Sergeant again. I won't dog him for being over aggressive. Just forced into that position. Now Shafin pushing the ball up just a little bit.
Well, Response just trying to stay passive here. Gets his super, throws it out to that right-hand side. Now the jump comes in from Sharjant. Not going to get the landing on, but he might be able to find the opening around this left-hand side here. The trick shot through, finds the goal, and Revenant Esports are the ones who strike early this time.
Nice play there. Revenant Esports looking to get these goals just have to be aggressive. I think the longer they allow Southern Cross to kind of play out here, the worse it gets. Revenant seems to be scoring just off of pure aggression when they're the ones dictating the pace of the game.
Yeah, Captain's got a super as well, so Revenant need to be a little bit careful, same as Shafin and Pratik, but there comes the super now. Actually going to miss it completely, and that's not good. That shade gets dealt with quite quickly as well. Pratik going to go for the jump in as well, quickly get eradicated in this star power. Keeping Response alive is just so good against that Primo jump. If he does go down, the burn damage isn't going to bring him to the floor. And Trishant just trying to pinch on this left-hand side, looking for another super, and Captain fully wasted it, so he's not going to have any cycle on that whatsoever, but in comes Pratik once more. Doesn't find anything once again, and this is just all Revenant.
Still a minute to go. Sargent pushing up. Shafin barely alive. Trishant finds the shots finally. Sargent backs up defensively. Again, Revenant kind of have control of this mid. Shades fall down, so does Captain. Pratik jumps up, falls down. Revenant still with a numbers lead. But notice, look, they're not forcing anything. They know they have the goal lead. They don't need to score the second one. They just need to hang out for about 25 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what the body did there, just getting back into that tank form to avoid being burnt down. Shots coming through from Shafin, though, and he's actually going to find something from it, but Pratik gets muted out. Just going to be able to pass the ball up. They're not going to have time for much else other than an aggressive Primo play here, but a little 1-2 with Shafin might be able to make something work. The only one with a super, he tries to find it, but actually ends up giving the ball straight to the side of Revenant Esports. Sergeant's going to do a little pass and jump onto it to keep it out of the hands of Southern Cross, and they're going to even things out here in Brawl.
Well done there by Revenant. That's some veteran play. You know, that's just like, listen, they know that they can play the long game. They know that they're good enough to sort of sit there. They trusted in their ability to keep the opponent on their end of the field and just ran with it. Not afraid to be overly defensive either, seeing the body jump backwards just to survive and then jump right back in the tank, like you said. Survival on display there for Revenant. We were used to seeing them be aggro. Although I guess they were playing survival by being aggressive. But a game number 3 here nonetheless. Revenant starting things off again on Southern Cross's side of the field.
Yeah, they definitely warmed up to what Southern Cross were trying to go for and just kind of stayed out of the way and let Pratik, you know, kind of kill himself by the way he goes so aggressive and just jumps in and doesn't really get a lot back from it. But Shafin gets an early super here as well. Captain not really finding the most connections, and Trishant with this control. I mean, Response hasn't done that much, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Break this map up, get the piggy banks down, and hopefully get a super at certain points. For when Pratik jumps in, he's going to be able to deal with them swiftly.
That's really it. You know, you pointed it out as well, is that just the star power being able to just, he's not doing much, but he's not dying to Pratik's jump in, which is pretty much what you need to do versus this comp. The shades are out. Captain again gets his hand forced. Shafin pinched here by 2, Sergeant and Response, but Sergeant falls back. And so ultimately it's Captain on the good side of things. This might be an opportunity for Southern Cross to get outside of their own front yard. They've got to make a move though, Trav.
Yeah, at a certain point they've just got to call it and go aggressive. Pratik's going to get his super here as well, but Sergeant's going to go for the jumping, gets one. Response is going to clean up Pratik as well. Trying to rotate around this left-hand side for the ball, but Captain does have this super to try and defend it. Going to hold it just for now, not overextend too much. And we do have these supers coming off spawn for Southern Cross, and they might need to use them quite quickly now as they have an opening down this left-hand side. Response has a super as well, might be able to get the defense, but the pass forward and the jump not going to be intercepted by Response. Oh, and the ball back, and that might delay it long enough, but still finds the goal. Almost a big mistake from Southern Cross there, but the recovery might have just won the game.
I think so too. You heard me say no and then stop halfway. Well, Kobe on the clock, and Revenant have to find a clutch position. They're going to go up the left-hand side. Shafin here and playing good defense. Response falls down. Sergeant being chased out by Shafeen again. And with 8 seconds left, this one looks like it's all Southern Cross. Game number 1 goes to Southern Cross, and set number 1 goes to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few mistakes that led to the goal, but it looks like Southern Cross are quite happy that it played out that way. And why wouldn't they be? They've just taken the lead against the reigning champions of this region, and saying reigning champions is putting it shortly. They've won pretty much every single monthly final this year. So feeling pretty good about this opening set, but let's be honest, that the same happened in SEA, and they managed to claw it back. So, you can't count Revenant out just yet. They do have these seasoned pro players who know how to come back from a little bit of a momentum loss. So I think they'll probably be able to do just that.
Absolutely. I do think Revenant are a little bit closer to the ground. Like, if we're going to compare the Indian region to the Southeast Asian region, I do think the distance between the #1 team and the rest of the pack is smaller here in India than Southeast Asia with Team Flash. And so Revenant Esports, we've seen this happen. Now, they do always wind up bringing it home, but we have seen Revenant kind of drop the ball, make some silly mistakes. Here, I'm not even going to say it was any of that. I think Southern Cross played pretty well and earned this victory. That said, look at the number differential. Southern Cross definitely playing the tactical game, so to speak. Pratik, a stunning 86 DPS, as everyone else across on Revenant over 200.
Yeah, I mean, just to eat up all that damage, he's probably provided all the DPS on the side of Revenant as well. But, I mean, DPS means nothing if you can't back it up with the wins, and I think that's clearly shown here by Revenant's massive out DPS and miles more kills, but they just didn't get the goals on the board, and therefore no wins as well. So Southern Cross come home with this first set, and they've got to be pleased about it. Going to be moving on to Hot Zone through the Julian Beetles maps, same maps as the previous series we just saw. We've seen pretty similar comps so far as well, and maybe something similar yet again on Julian Beetles.
Should be interesting. I do want to get your take on right here. Wait for it. Come on. Very spooky. We get it. Yeah. Okay. Nope. Still not. Man, they changed the order of this. I swear. Every single flyover. We don't even get to see the big teeth guy. It's probably better that way. That guy scares me a little bit. But bans are out here. Kind of standard. Expect to see the Squeak ban. I'm surprised that we got to see much Squeak play in Southeast Asia, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you as well. Just the residue shutting off. So, here he is. He's coming in, and that's going to be a big thing for these teams. And, both that and Shelly have been left in play. Yes, Shelly probably isn't that great on Dueling Beetles, but with the 2 best brawls in the game being left open, simultaneously, it could be leading up to something quite good here. Looking at the brawler win rates as well. Bo up there high, and not that we've seen him really play that much, so obviously it has just snuck into that 10 game for the percentage, but Gus looking pretty good there as well. We're going to see the Pam come in for Revenant here as well. I like the pick overall, but it is one of those tanky units, and if Cordelius is going to get in range, they're going to have some issues, so it looks like they're going to try and keep him quite far away.
Troublesome stuff here is there's a ton of long range on Revenant, and that's really the downside to Cordelius for as much power as he does have. There is a little bit of range concern. I'm really pushing that though. Cordelius is just very strong, and so we'll have to see if that range is actually dealt with. But Lou selected here for Southern Cross on Dueling Beetles. Lou Super is the size of the Hot Zone. I'm required by law to say that. Still going to be tough here. Last pick. Oh, they juked me. I thought we got the last pick in there.
I will say as well, though, like, if Revenant lose control of this map, it's going to be very difficult to get it back. Lou Super's coming down, Cordelius, dragging people out of those the actual map and taking them to the Shadow Realm for the 1v1. It's going to be difficult for them. Captain Gunner with the Meg, and I feel like that's put maybe a little bit of a downer on their comp, as Meg's not the strongest at the moment. I feel like they've kind of just broken something that would have been very good if they just kind of kept it in a similar mentality.
Where would you have liked to see them go?
I feel like you've got to just keep on playing the control route. I mean, obviously, Squeak could have been the perfect brawler being banned out, but I don't know what I'd go for, but just mech wouldn't be my answer.
I would have got... So here, yes or no? Bo.
I don't mind Jesse here. And obviously, if you can establish the Pam and Jesse turrets, it's going to be difficult for them to break. And now it's kind of just, I feel like a game of that, just the early game is going to decide who wins this one.
So, yeah, I agree. I look at Revenant Esports and they've got Turret Town. And you look at Southern Cross and they just have, like, you know, you can't step here. And so there's just a lot of, like you said, the early game I think is going to be incredibly important, as it's not quite as simple as whoever steps on the point first wins. But Trav, it's kind of close to that.
Especially with the Cubs kind of lineup like this, we're seeing Captain play through the mid as well instead of the Lou being down there. He's going to try and juke his way up to Sergeant and get some super off it. But so far, he's just getting hit pretty hard. Gadget's going to miss as well, and the bounces from the Bell on the left-hand side are not going to be helping him out. Does survive, but he's going to be brought out of that Meg super, well, the mech as well, I should say, and does get taken down. It's pretty much even Steven on the percentage board, though. Captain eventually healing back up, but during that, Shafin took a bit of a deficit in HP as well, and now that does actually connect. Super not going to be used, just saving it for the next spawn, and I don't mind that play.
All three players focusing the mid. A little bit rough there for Pratik and Shafin. They don't step forward for Captain, but now Captain zoom in, looking on the right-hand side, trying to push down response. Trishant gets the kill onto Shafin, and so Captain left behind enemy lines without anything happening. Revenant Esports now over 50% done. Southern Cross just a quarter of the way.
Well, there's a loose super.
There's the loose super.
Yeah, should stun out that Jesse turret. Great stuff from him. And Captain does have this super, needs to try and use it, but another Jesse super available. Meg's not in mech over this left-hand side. He's just going to throw this out and surely going to be able to tank a lot of this Cordelia's damage. Pratik's actually going to win that matchup regardless of not having his mech. But now dragging him into this 1v1, it kind of puts Sergeant in a 1v2, and he's not doing bad in it at all. Not going to have that swipe yet. And he's surviving still. He's surviving the 1v2, even with Pam being dragged out of the situation. Captain's going to get the mute up there onto response, and now he starts to chain these supers, but it might be too little too late.
Just about 90% and counting. Trishant pushed off the point, but only 8% left to go here for Revenant. And with Sergeant in response stepping up, that's game number 1 in the hands of Revenant.
I mean, that's rough for Southern Cross there, you know, off the back of such a good victory early on in that first set. They didn't bring the best performance here, and definitely a few misplays across the board as well. I mean, I love Cordelius. I love seeing it played. I love the mechanics that it has, but it just doesn't seem like it's working here, whether that's just maybe Captain not playing it correctly or just the matchups not being the best.
I think it was, honestly, Pratik and Shafin leaving Captain out there to dry. Captain doesn't have the range, and so all three players are going to look at him if Pratik and the other lane fall back. This is a much better example where the side lanes are able to do their job, and that leaves Captain able to press up and move forward. Look at him just punching response in the mouth here, getting the duel and winning it. Left side owned by Captain, comes over to the mid, and his team now 1/3 of the way through. That said, Revenant, the squad on the point.
Yeah, I feel like we do need to see some loose supers coming down at some point as well. Captain going to pick up a few of those mushrooms along the way, and not going to be able to get in range of response, and even if he does, he's going to be coming out of this super soon, and that's going to put him in a 1v3 in the backside. But there's the mute, and he gets the super off again. Super down the right side, coming in from Lou, gets the stun there onto Trishant, mech back as well. And this is what it is, just that early game, and now we see Southern Cross have the early game. They've got a vast lead as well.
Well, response from Revenant. All three players step forward. Southern Cross have just everything they asked for. They had 2 ideal sequences in a row, and Revenant just sort of went, okay, and then came back and smacked them. Trishant landing these shots. Sergeant, though, trouble as Captain finds himself behind, but the Jesse turret gets it done. Jesse's a good pick, huh?
I mean, I'm kind of liking it at the moment, to be honest. He knew that he was going to be coming out of that Shadow Realm soon. He was just spamming that super. You could see the ring around him just flaring up, and now they are in the lead, but quickly does get taken down. And Shafin, when he gets these supers, they start to make plays, but Captain not going to be the closest to his super, as he did just use it before he died and went down. He's going to fall as well. Pratik, the only one available and alive now, and that loose super completely gone to waste, really, and it's Revenant established themselves back on the zone. Should be evening out this in just a second. With this Jesse turret, I don't like Southern Cross's chances.
It's going to be tough. 15% to go for Revenant, and with Sergeant getting a kill and Trishant getting a kill, that confirms it. A nice back and forth here from Southern Cross, but Revenant gets game 1 and game 2, and we're able to take the hot zone and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, Revenant just played it well. They were composed throughout, and even when they were in, you know, a 40% loss on the percentage, they just played it for the late game, and they did very well at re-establishing themselves in that mid, especially when you see a Cordelius in your face, so much loose supers coming down. But, you know, the loose supers just didn't come down as often as they needed, and sometimes not even in the right places as well.
Yeah, I think, again, I think there was some left to be desired on the side of the draft there for Southern Cross. I think we could kind of play would you have all day. The Meg pick, listen, it won the left lane sometimes, but I think that wasn't really pick determinant. I would have liked to see something a little bit more synergistic with the composition, but that said, I don't think, if they picked exactly what I want them to pick, I don't know if they would have won anyway. Revenant responded really, really well to everything Southern Cross had. They didn't just get stepped on by the Mushroom Man either. They were able to deal with Cordelius, and so I like what Revenant had to say here. 300 DPS here for Cherchant, and Sergeant just below that as well.
I mean, I'm not sure we can ignore this left-hand side statistic here, to be honest with you. I didn't think it could get much worse than the Primo in the first set, but 0 kills and 80 DPS for Shavin here. Definitely not what we wanted to be seeing from Southern Cross, and, you know, as you say, I don't know if that Meg lined up perfectly, to be honest. It definitely didn't synergize, as you say, but also at the same time, even if they picked something that didn't synergize completely, and was just good, we could have got more done, but obviously Shaffin was on that Lu, and, you know, with the pretty much Lu being the highest range brawler, I feel like we need to see a little bit more out of that.
We'll head out to Heist, and it's Pit Stop this time around. Oh, I think this is the map with the creepy mushroom with the giant teeth. I'm gonna see it in my nightmares, dude. This guy! Are you a fan, or are you afraid?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that as well. I didn't see it in the first one, so now looking at it, I'm not sure if I can get behind the hype behind it, you know?
Yeah, I don't like that. I often am a fan of the friends here, but this one, no thank you. Anyway, picks and bans are here. Rico will be our first selection overall here for Revenant. As we see the Shellys, the Nitas, and the M's here banned out by Southern Cross. This Dynamite and BB keep staring me in the face.
I mean, me as well, but like Dynamite, I feel like it just succeeds when all the rest of the throwers aren't there, and it's the only valid option. But now I feel like we have more throwers on the map, it doesn't really get picked that much. BB on the other hand, I do really like the BB. Rico as a first pick, it's been a while since I've seen that. Usually maybe a little bit more of a recovery pick a little bit later on down the line, but we see the Bonnie and the Daryl coming through from Southern Cross. I do kind of prefer those picks.
It's a nice one so far. I thought, man, every time we get that wipe, I think the pick's coming in, and so I like don't say anything as I'm waiting for it, but then sometimes they just show us the players. Sorry, folks, getting juked here. Another Cordelius. This time it's on the side of Revenant. Man, it's very funny. Last region we saw almost unanimous ban, universal ban out of Cordelius. Now we get to see him played not just once but twice.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is Revenant's comp, I actually kind of love it. Cordelius here on the defense is so good. We saw Navi bring it down in the SPS over in Europe during the league phase just recently, and it just played out so well on the defense. It interrupts Daryl's role, it takes them out, it stops them from getting damage on the safe, and against the Daryl or Bonnie on defense, that's instrumental.
Certainly one of the stronger things that you're looking for. There's just so many tools for Cherchant to use here with Cordelius, and like you said, best often used on the defensive side. Daryl's going to roll in. You just have so much control. What we've seen out of Otis, Cordelius can do it arguably better. And so I think a lot of this for Southern Cross is going to have to deal on Captain. And this is just going to be Stu trying to outplay the two robots and the Mushroom guy. But when it comes down to Pit Stop, I am confident in this Revenant draft. This is a nice looking draft. Southern Cross, I've got no complaints on their side either necessarily, but I just think the Revenant one is a little bit stronger.
Yeah, as you say, I don't dislike this Southern Cross comp. I just feel like the Revenant comp seems that little bit better, but at the moment, looks like we improve well. Southern Cross here as they that team wipe, but Trishan off this spawn. Super coming through from Sergeant here as well. We see the Cordelia's super being picked up now. Great super coming out of Sergeant there. Gets the Daryl and brings Captain low as well. Should back him off, and a super from Response is going to channel them all to that left-hand side.
So a team wipe at the second we start the game only leads to 3% damage dealt to the enemy safe. And so Revenant Esports do have a nice look after the fact, but they haven't been able to find any offense of their own. Trishan here, slowly trying to inch up. As we said, that range, this is the map where that range is going to come into play for sure. Chasing down Trishan. And Response falling down. Assassin jumps over the fence. And Shafine's able to find a couple more percent, 86 left for Revenant.
Yeah, did get shut down by that Cordelius though as well. Pratik looking down this left-hand side to try and roll on Sergeant, but actually it's Captain who does get the better of him. Shrunk gonna mute him out, maybe bring into the Shadow Realm as well. Nice stuff from him, and this just completely takes him out of the mix at the moment, but did take a bit of damage along the way. Now having to back off as that time is getting close to hitting 0 for the Shadow Realm. Great stuff from Captain coming in, gets one, but doesn't get Trishan. And regardless of how well they're defending, you know, they've been pretty much being attacked the whole time and only taken 14%. Doesn't matter if you've got 0 yourselves.
Exactly, you can win with just 1%, so Response here on the left side trying to make that happen. Finally some damage on Southern Cross, but it's 4% and then done, son. Half a minute to go, and Captain dodging and weaving, barely alive though. And here comes more damage from Southern Cross, just bringing it all the way down, 55% and counting. A ton of damage coming out of STC, and I think that's going to be it.
I mean, Response coming in now for the first shred of damage, and Rico coming down that right side. He's got the slow off as well. This might be enough for a comeback here. Super available from Sergeant. Still 40% needed though, and I don't think it's going to be done. Nice stuff. Good cleanup there from Southern Cross, and they've come out swinging in this third set. Regardless of how good I thought that Revenant comp was, I'm just not sure if they played it right. Like, I've still got full faith in it, but Southern Cross just seemed to play better.
I mean, that's why we play the game, you know. It's always funny talking to high players, but very rarely do you win the game in picks and bans. I will say, I think Revenant have the better draft. Like, full stop. I think they do. But Southern Cross just were able to play it a little bit better. And you know what? I said a lot of it was going to rely on the stew, but Shafine on the Bonnie has been doing a lot of this dirty work here in this mid.
Much better start then for Revenant in this one. Sergeant going to get some bounces off, and with that super bouncy star power, going to add decent amount of damage to the safe. It is 16%, so pretty much the reverse, complete flip of what we saw in the last one. And Trishan is just sitting in this back spawn. You know, they're letting Southern Cross come to them and going to try and take advantage of Pratik rolling in, and that should just stop him from doing it end of, really. But if Shafin manages to jump in at the same time, it's going to be quite a lot coming in. They're going to have to get one of them into that Shadow Realm. Actually chooses the Bonnie there. Defends it off quite nicely. Captain's still alive and actually going to take the lead now for Southern Cross. But with Response and Sergeant coming up this right side, they should reclaim it shortly.
Right side, Captain got his eyes on Response, but Revenant's teammates are here. We were briefly tied at 80%, but now Revenant takes the lead by an additional 3. Shafine, no super available, so not going to be able to jump offensively as we've seen time and time again. Prashant, dueling, wins in the Shadow Realm. What a wild character.
And that's the thing, you know, he wins the one-on-one and just retreats back to his home line, like, just staying behind this wall, knowing that he's pretty much only good for defense on this map, and he's going to need to be as Shafin comes up now. But down this right-hand side, we do see the Rico pushing up, and Response is going to join him down there as well. Great hit from the super from Trishan there, and adds quite a lot of damage to the safe from Sergeant. Clean up on defense, and Response has his super as well. Pratik's low, gets sent back to spawn, and this is looking much better for Revenant.
Yeah, huge lead here for Rev. That said, there is half a minute to go. And Southern Cross can certainly make it happen. Shafine has the super. Pratik doesn't. Ooh, Shafine going for the players, not the safe. I don't know if that's the right call. I guess if he doesn't go for them, they get damage onto the safe, but because he does, his team doesn't get damage on the safe. And Trav, that might just be it. 30% needed to match. Not gonna happen. Revenant win game 2.
Yeah, and that's a definite this time as well with Trishant, you know, bringing him into the Shadow Realm, stopping him from really doing anything, getting any kills, getting any damage. Nice move from him, and yes, I don't think he moved out, you know, the top sixth of the map for the entire thing, just sitting behind that defensive wall. That's exactly how it should be played. You know, against that Daryl, you just sit there, and if you hit the super mid roll, he stops exactly where it is, and you just sweep him up with no worries.
Nice play there from Revenant, adjusting to what they got thrown at them game number 1 here. We'll see as we jump into game number 3 if there's a response. I'm just so primed to say response because the player name, I swear. It's annoying. But Captain here leading the charge, and charge is exactly what he's doing. 2 players down on the right-hand side. Shafin pot shotting from a distance. Pratik has the super and waiting for his moment. Revenant going to avoid Southern Cross's offensive players, though, and head right for the enemy safe.
Sergeant coming through yet again, going to get the gadget off, and that's quite a lot of damage. A lot of damage, 6,000 each way there, you saw. And Sergeant now getting some shots off on safe. Does it again, 4,800 and another 6,000.
Wow.
And that's already 60% done just thanks to that gadget. And Trishant's defending well.
Yeah, that's an incredible amount of damage from the Rico gadget. Pratik rolls in and tries to match it. 14%. Not the same. Shafin wins the fight. Left side there, yeah. And Pratik wins it again. Now Southern Cross with a team wipe on the offensive, pushing forward. But Trav, here comes everyone from Revenant. I don't think Southern Cross got a single % off of that.
Yeah, well, Soup comes out as well. Great stuff from Sergeant now. Shafin in this aggressive form. Soup comes out there, and the defense is still good from Revenant. They got 30%, but still 30% behind with a minute on the clock. It's not going to be the easiest of comebacks from Southern Cross, especially with Cordelius just sitting here still on defense, and Sergeant, if he gets up, still 1 gadget left, and that's going to add almost 10,000 damage to the safe. Just that. Soup comes out, and there does get some connections, probably fairly close to another super himself, but in comes the roll. Gadget's there. Maybe the super should have been as well to stop this from happening as they get some kills, and now Shafin on the safe. Captain trying to join him. Response,
well played.
Get taken down, but Trishant should clean it up. Actually, they're going to leave him and focus on the one who's going to deal with more damage. Right choice, but it's getting close. Down rolls there. If Bonnie can join him, maybe something can happen.
That's what I was going to say, man. Just very unfortunate that Bonnie didn't have the super there. If Southern Cross's Bonnie has the super, they both jump in. A ton of damage gets dealt to the box. But because that doesn't happen, Sergeant wins left side as well. And that secures it. That definitely secures it. Revenant goes ahead and takes this one as well. Despite a push from Southern Cross, Revenant take game 3.
I mean, that game 1, it was a little bit sketchy for Revenant, to put it that way. You know, we saw Southern Cross coming out swinging yet again, but then I think they just kind of learned how to play the comp. You know, it took them maybe that first game to adjust, to get ready to just play Cordelius on defense, and, you know, hands up, I understand it's boring. I understand it's very, very boring to sit in your own spawn and just play it like that, but that's what's got to be done. But not only that, he's got to be relying on his teammates to get the damage, and you know, we saw a lot coming out of response, and obviously the Rico in that one doing the majority. Sergeant absolutely performing so well and getting up the map to get those gadgets perfectly on safe. That's 10,000 damage each time.
That dude, look at the play right there. The Rico just going nuts. Sergeant. Sometimes all you need is a moment. I think Sergeant left a little to be desired in game number 1, but at the end of the day, you know, gets it done when it needs to happen. And so the Rico pulls through in the clutch. Where is he? 305 DPS there, 11 kills for him, but 14 for Trishant.
I'll say this looks good for all of Revenant Esports on that side. You know, they've all got very, very good statistics, and all of their DPS is better than all of that on the side of Southern Cross. And you know, you need the kills to be able to get damage on a map like this, unless it's a complete base rage, which none of the maps and none of the games were, I should say. But, you know, you need damage. You need to be able to get the kills to be able to get up the map on this one. And that's probably why Revenant won, you know, a few more kills. Actually, no, actually less kills on the side of Revenant Esports. But, you know, they just played the defense on lock so well. And all it needs is a couple of moments.
Well, that is well said. Just a couple of moments needed. Because of that, Revenant sits nice and pretty, 2 above 1 in the grand finals here in India. If you're just joining us, we just took a look at Southeast Asia. Team Flash winds up winning as per usual. And Revenant now in the driver's seat in India as they usually win as well. The top card for sure. That said, we've seen some good stuff out of Southern Cross. I don't know if they take it here at Gem Grab, though.
Yeah, I feel like there's just too much of a secure game mode for Revenant Esports to really drop, and with Cordelius banned, Shelly banned, all of these really solid bans across both ways, Squeak, Cordelius, Evans from Southern Cross, and then Crow, Jean, and Shelly. I just don't think there's enough randomness for them to be able to win here. They're going to take the Stu early on, though, and we saw that work very, very well in that SEA region. Stu did perform amazingly through this mid, but Revenant Esports got the return 2 picks.
First selection overall doesn't really tell us anything. A lot of times I like to look at your first pick and try to decide if you want to be aggressive or defensive or whatnot. Stu is just an evergreen all-arounder. Can be played offensively, defensively. Now Amber, Revenant, a team after my own heart. One of my favorite brawlers. She saw a big surge of gameplay after the oil change, but now has largely come back to where she was in the past, sort of a map-dependent niche selection. And Double Swoosh is certainly one that you should expect to see some Amber. And then the Sandy. Sleepy pick. Interesting.
I don't hate it, but I will say at the same time it wouldn't be my 1 and 2. You know, maybe one of them would be my 2, one of them would be my 3. I don't know if I'd choose Amber first and Sandy second. It feels like something that you kind of choose to go for a little bit further on down the line as that surprise pick that's not usually seen. We saw Chester played out beautifully as well in that SEA region, and we saw it in EU across the SBS as well, so be intrigued to see if that does come back out. But Captain going to bring in this Bonnie, and obviously the ability to go aggressive on the Amber and the Sandy, being able to outrange them in this tank form as well. It's going to be a difficult one for them.
Last selection here. Need to see some sort of utility. Double Swoosh. No Gus. Southern Cross locks in the Janet. Ooh, it's been a while. Haven't seen the other stunt sister in a minute. Pure DPS though here from Southern Cross. Are you concerned?
I am a little bit. I still really like the comp, and depending on this Revenant pick, maybe I'll even like it more. But you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, it's been so long since we've seen Janet. It kind of fell off the face of the earth with some of the changes that it did receive. Drop the base, obviously going to be able to scout quite nicely. But, you know, I love myself a Carl, and I think that's a great pick. I'm kind of just questioning, we're going to see that Sandy through the mid, I imagine. It's not the most conventional of mids, but it's going to be decent, obviously, with, you know, the burst it can do, the stun through mid as well if someone steps out of line for that. But I feel like Pratik should do a good enough job of not feeding it.
Yeah, I think that obviously that's the goal. But no, I'm here for it. I think we do see probably the Sandy in the mid, only because who else? Well, we'll see. Stu gonna head mid versus, all right, there it is, right there. Sandy in that middle lane. Amber versus the long-range Bonnie, and then Janet going to the right side versus the Carl.
Some aggression.
Very important point here as well. I think this update has the best music as Trishon falls down left side.
Well, it's important to have some good music whilst you're getting taken down, I suppose. But not claiming these 3 gems on the right-hand side. Obviously had this flying hook still in hand as well, and a lot of this map's getting burnt up. But to be honest, I'm not sure who that really favours, because we see quite a ranged approach from Southern Cross, and Response going in nice and aggressive there on Shafin, but Captain trying to bring him down now, and it's actually a defensive flying hook as his first use. Captain going to go aggressive for that as well. Gets taken down though. Response can't find anything, doesn't have a super to swoop in and swoop out. And obviously the flying hook will only take him one way, and it'd be pretty much a one-way ticket to death, I feel.
Revenant, large mid control thanks to Sandy. Sergeant actually gets a kill off of that as well, and so it's 7-4. Big play there from Trishon, bringing Captain down a half HP. Trying to fight Pratik as well. Next gem should pop out here. And now Revenant are 1 away from a countdown, split amongst Sergeant and Response. So 2 targets for Southern Cross to find the reset on. We'll count down from 15.
Well, Shafin's got this flight, does get taken down. It's gonna be Sergeant with all of the gems in hand. Response is going to go towards Pratik. He's going to go for the jump in, but he's going to tank that landing and possibly tank the damage that would have followed up as well. But Sergeant not even Response not even needed now, so he does go and just kind of maybe beat him a little bit in spawn, provide him with a few gems, give him a shred of hope for this next game. But I'm not really sure what hope remains after that convincing performance from Revenant.
Man, Sandy showed up and just smacked those two players down. That really kind of let us know the style of this one. Revenant here on match point for their monthly finals for the region of India. Southern Cross put up a fight earlier on, but this one does not look like theirs at all.
Captain sliding in for those first two gems, but actually do have the lead for pretty much the first time in this set. Sergeant looking for that second one now as well, but doesn't want to overextend. Don't really want to feed Captain Super just that quick, and he's not going to get it still. Pratik's going to go in for the jump, and Sergeant gets a few shots off. He's not going to complain about that towards the Sandstorm, and the Sandstorm was a big part of claiming pretty much all of the map now. Should only be one or two hits off as he does connect a couple more. More oil being placed down by Trishant. Going to give him a little bit of a speed boost, but the breakup on the left-hand side will stop those aggressive plays from coming through. Pratik's going to get back into the tank, but quickly going to get wasted there by Trishant, and Sandstorm providing a lot of help as well. Revenant push up, get all control, and now should be taking the lead shortly.
Tied up. Well, I would say that if Revenant didn't have mid control. But they're so good at just pushing Southern Cross back onto their side of the field.
The thing is now as well, they're going to have to overstep and kind of feed Sergeant even more by getting onto this side and getting their gem, but they are actually going to get it. That's what they needed to do. One gem is all they kind of needed off the other side to play this 50-50 game once again. But Response is actually going to get taken down, or get a takedown there.
Dude.
Up top, gets jumped in on Captain, very low. Response in behind as well, and still has a flying hook, but almost gets brought down, and Sergeant just recovering nicely.
Great stuff out of Southern Cross despite this Janet pick. I'm just so down on this Janet pick. Janet took to the skies before, did a whopping 0 DPS. Janet can't get off the ground there, does a whopping 0 DPS. Response is just owning this Janet selection. Shafin takes to the sky one more time. Does. Oh, actually landed a shot versus Trishant, and then immediately gets deleted.
I mean,
why Janet?
I'm thinking the exact same thing. It literally did nothing. I'm intrigued to see the statistics in this one as well, because that was not the last set performance we wanted to see from Southern Cross. We thought they might have been able to take it to the 5th, but it was shut down by Revenant in the 4th. Great performance from them, and double swoosh is where they close it out.
Fantastic job there by Revenant, continuing their era of dominance here in the Indian region. Listen, these guys, they are tested often by some of the guys in this region. This region is not just an easy walk over, but Revenant still consistently find themselves above and beyond their opposition. I think it was fun kind of watching this one. STC getting it done, having some moments. Captain really impressed me at times. Pratik had some good moments. Even Shafin, who, like, yeah, I dunked on this game, this set, but it was more about the pick. But ultimately, Southern Cross just won a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah, it kind of just went wrong before we even got into the game, really. You know, they looked good. They came out really strong in that first set, won it, even though I feel like maybe they were countered. Obviously, with that Primo, they performed so well in Brawl, but from there, it was just all Revenant, really, and they did convince us quite heavily towards the end, and yeah. Statistics across the board not looking good from Southern Cross, but Shafin yet again getting least DPS and the least kills, but Revenant across the board looking good.
Trishant, Sergeant, Response. Get used to seeing these names, because you're going to see them win here in the grand finals when you tune in to this region. You're going to see them in international competition as well. And Sergeant coming through in the clutch, being the guy on top, as voted by you guys at home. Shout out to Brawl Nation, bringing Sergeant all the way home. Love to see this stuff. A lot of interesting things going on here in the Indian region as well. Some Cordelius got to be played today. Fun to see the Mushroom guy show up.
I was like, I'm never going to complain about Cordelius, right? And especially when we get to see it excel so hard. I mean, it had a little bit of a tough time there in Hot Zone, but in Pit Stop, I think it got its redemption arc and it just played it so well. I mean, a little bit boring at times, the way it's meant to be played, obviously, but still love to see a bit of Cornelius.
Well, Revenant winning this one keeps them in that #1 position across the Indian region. Marcos Gaming is #2, but as we said, man, you know, Marcos, this region used to be Revenant, Marcos, back and forth. But these days, it seems like Revenant, Marcos, Revenant back in position #1. Really tough for Marcos to find their footing here recently.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, they didn't make the finals this month, obviously, as well. We've just seen Southern Cross come in, so it is getting increasingly difficult for them, dropping almost 200 points behind Revenant Esports. But how well they've played this year to get up to 506, that is a lot of good performances coming out of Revenant Esports, and I couldn't think of a more deserving team to be at the top of the India region.
You know, you're not wrong. Revenant has been here. They've been doing work across a number of different competitions, whether it's the SPS or the Queso Cup or any stuff we see here. Revenant just keeps showing up. Like I said, get used to these names and get used to them getting better and better. Just like our program, we've gone through 2 separate regions so far. Now it's time for East Asia. We're going to take a brief break, and then after the jump, we got semifinals 1 and 2, and then, of course, your East Asian Grand Finals.
has all been coming down to this.
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion.
Oh my word! What an incredible moment!
We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing. Be the first and last out, make it happen. We gotta turn big dreams into action. We gotta mix action with the passion. Time short, no time for relaxing.
Without further ado, let's get rolling.